Right now, I have to stop saying.
It's Thursday. We soldier on. We only have 3.4 months to go instead of 3.5. No, I have no idea. This is the DLLS Stars Podcast. We have lots to get to today because we're going to talk about the captain, Jamie Benn. And we've got a hockey game to discuss. Stanley Cup Final. So we'll do all that next here on DLLS Stars Podcast.
Get ready, boys.
This is the DLLS Stars Podcast. Our Stanley Cup playoff coverage is brought to you by Bud Light. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. And by Happiest Hour, your home base and the best place to catch the Stanley Cup Final. Just steps away from the AAC, the ultimate spot with 50-plus beers and 40-plus TVs for all the big moments every single game day. Happiest Hour, your favorite spot for the Stanley Cup Final. And before we get into today's show, there goes Kat.
Bye, Kat.
We are going to talk to you about the ball knower bonus because we had our first one last night. Who was going to win the Stanley Cup Final Game 1? If you went and picked Edmonton and bought merchandise, you won, and you won a gift card for the amount you did. But you can also do it tonight because it's Game 1 of the NBA Finals. So here's how it works. First, you start by picking the winner, whether it's Game 1 of last night's final, Game 1 of the NBA Finals, and I believe we're doing this for every game of both finals. So, but don't hold me to that. So tonight, go pick who do you think is going to win Game 1 of the NBA Finals? Oklahoma City or
the other one, Indiana.
Thank you. Got it. Very good, Sam. Then you browse our merch store and make a purchase of at least $25. If your pick wins, you win a gift card for the same amount as your original order. You must click on our link in the chat or in the show YouTube description. You can go to our website and find it too. And that will get you a chance to win a gift card from All City DLLS. That is the ball knower bonus. All right. On a Thursday, June 5th, it's Craig Ludwig, Sam Nestler, producer John Andersen, Owen Newkirk. Charlie's in the chat. Howdy, Charlie. Today's show begins with discussion, as I got to get my mic where I need it to be. Jamie Benn. We're going to for the next, here and there over the next week or so, chip away at some of the media availability, end of season stuff. We didn't want to all force it down your throats in the first 2 days because then what do we talk about next? But also because there are interesting things within it. And so today's part, we're not going to do all of Benn, Duchesne, and Sagan, but we are going to talk about Jamie Benn today because Jamie Benn had some pretty interesting things to talk about with his media availability. I know he gets a lot of guff from everybody for not being the most interesting interview. And he's not Matt Duchesne or Tyler Sagan in terms of how they present their answers and stuff, but he does say some things if you look closely. So we have some audio for you today. We're not doing video, just audio. I want you to hear what Jamie said when he was asked about how he's approaching this offseason, not under contract, and he answers that and then gets a follow-up question.
I mean, I'm going to go into the summer planning on playing next year and, prepare like I do every summer, like I'm going to play.
First time you've gone into an all-season without a contract in a long time. How do you hope that process plays out and the timing and everything?
I don't know. It'd be interesting. I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. I don't see myself going anywhere else. This is all I know. So hopefully we can get something figured out, and then I don't have to answer these questions.
So
I love that.
let's start with, let's just wondering what we're waving at.
I didn't realize we were
Sam looked
we
up
were still on the screen.
because we're not playing the video today, it's just audio. And so Sam was still there. So
We're on the TV, lads.
people watching are watching
We're
us.
always on that damn thing. I didn't know who you guys were waving.
We're just waving at all the DLS viewers that are watching on YouTube right now live. So sitting in that room last Saturday over in Frisco and hearing him say that answer, I immediately said, well, that's it. Jamie's playing next year. There's no doubt in my mind that, like, he wasn't sitting there giving that political sort of, well, we'll see how it goes. Yep. We got to go. He wants to play, and he wants to play here.
Yeah, he's made it. I mean, he's made it clear. The way I look at it is we still have no reason to believe that what was said in training camp from Jim Nill and Jamie Benn, which was we're going to push this down till after the season, focus on trying to win a championship, and then figure it out. And Jim Nill and Jamie Benn both said no issue, no worry about it getting done. So far, we have not seen anything that shows us differently. And Jamie Benn he was a little bit honest. He was obviously a little uncomfortable about the fact that he has to go into this summer not knowing kind of what's next. But I think the question from Nill, or the thing from Nill, was if Jamie Benn wants to come back, he can come back. I don't see any reason why Nill would go back on his word. But Jamie has just stuck to what he said. He wants to be here. He has his goal he's had since he was here, since he became captain, since he's still developed with Tyler Seguin, who was pretty funny. Seguin talking about all the things, talked about how they weren't necessarily immature when they came here, but they're a lot more mature now, which essentially
we're going to play that
means the same thing.
Part of that.
Yeah, but I just think he is this team, right? And as much as, Sean talked about yesterday that maybe they need to lose him to get others to step up, I don't think that happens this year. Maybe that is the question that happens, but I think that's going to happen next year, if anything.
I'm texting him back.
Who?
It was Belfour.
Oh, it was?
Yeah. So I was gonna ask, should we answer it, and can I hold it up here? But I guess that's bad radio or whatever we do here.
Remember when he played the audio?
Yeah, and everybody thought it came out pretty well. Remember that?
I do.
On, when those people didn't know what they were doing.
Have a Belfour
hysterical.
Audio? Or you were going to answer a phone call?
I was going to answer the phone call. I actually wanted him to come on here and talk to us, and and I just said, hey, we're asking, come on, your thoughts about the whole Ottinger thing.
Yeah.
He goes, no, what happened?
Awesome. That's even better than Luds.
Luds, you weren't criticized for taking a phone call in the air. You were criticized for playing an audio clip out of Twitter through. It wasn't a former star speaker calling you. That would be very different.
Let's go back.
Welcome.
Hey. Let's go back, right?
Hold on. Should we do Frosty Takes right now?
Ship jumper.
Because I have
Let's
a feeling
go back.
Some crap's about to come out of Luds' mouth.
Let's go back and go ahead and listen and read all the comments that everybody said. No, it's great. We can hear it great. See, we did that for the audience. It wasn't for you or for us. They were able to hear everything that was going on very clear because you guys didn't do your due diligence and get our stuff worked out. So anyway, I'm actually kind of confused with the whole Jamie Benn question stuff like that. I don't think there was ever, in my mind, there was never a doubt that he was going to not play this year, or this coming season, that he didn't want to come back here, especially going back to what Jim said and he said. And I think there's more, for me, there's more fans that are something, Jamie this
Perhaps.
and Jamie that.
They've been saying that for years, too.
Yeah, and exactly. They can say it, and that's their right to say that stuff. But I don't think there's any, I don't even think it's a stumbling block. I just think, it's going to be the dollar amount, which I would assume he has a number and Jim Nill has a number, and they're ultimately, like any other time, they're going to have to meet somewhere in the middle of it, I guess, if they can do it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, his lack of an impact in the playoffs definitely spurred these rumors on, right? The fact that he not just didn't score, not just didn't have points, but he wasn't himself. He wasn't coming out there and taking charge. He wasn't, other than punching Scheifele in the face, he wasn't being Jamie Benn. I think that made this stuff kind of like, all right, do we need to get rid of him? Can he still help this team in certain ways? And as you just said, that should be, I mean, they're always going to be a friendly negotiation, but that should be a pretty easy point for Dallas to just say, like, look, we want you back to be our leader, to be our Jamie Benn, but we can't pay you $4 million, $5 million.
Correct. Yeah, and that's what I say. I think he knows that. And I kind of think also that, and different kind of comparison, I'm looking at Alex Ovechkin and the way he finished the prior season, slow and all this other kind of stuff, was he going to come back? That dude was motivated to come back this year. You could see it. And there was something dangling there for sure. I mean, if you're going to pass Wayne Gretzky in all-time goals, but I would think the way that Jamie goes about his business, that and he hears what people say. I mean, people are saying it to him and stuff like that. It wouldn't surprise me if you see a different kind of Jamie Benn when you come back. And
How so?
Jamie's always. I
More
wonder
motivated?
if he's going to train harder. Is what I'm saying.
Really?
I'm not saying he doesn't train, anyways. But sometimes as you get older and you want to continue to play the game, you have to train differently.
Yeah.
You know. And
well, wasn't that the big renaissance from Pete's first year, the 22-23 season? Is
like 30-something goals.
Jamie? Well, he had 33 goals and 78 points in 82 games. It was a resurgence, almost doubling his year before. And wasn't the big talk then was Jamie changed his training? He focused more on speed and got a little bit lighter. And the system combined with that adjusted as he was at the time. That would have been, what, 32?
Well, and again, Jamie had a kid and all that. And that was coming down the road 4 or 5 months out. You're having I haven't talked to Jamie at all about any of this kind of stuff. So I just think there's things that go on in your life that maybe kind of get your focus not as laser focused as you normally are. And then when you go through something like this, and you hear and read and talk and all this other kind of stuff, it wouldn't surprise me a bit if you come back and go, maybe just the opposite of what we saw the way that Joe Pavelski went, where he's quicker and he's got that edge and that bite back. Oh, I thought my time was up. I forgot about Pavelski.
We haven't done that in a while.
We haven't mentioned Pavelski lately.
Thank you.
I was going to say, lads, I'm not going to try to do the math here. When did you have your first kid? Like what?
You'd have to ask my wife.
Where were you? About that. Where were you? You were here.
I was actually what happened was it would have been my third year, I believe, in Montreal.
Okay.
She went back to Wisconsin as we were going through the playoffs. So you're not asking me what date, are you?
No. I'm only asking because I'm curious. I've just realized that I could ask you directly this question. How did that affect your career? Like becoming a dad and
unfortunately not a lot.
Yeah, I'm just wondering for players, what does that actually do? It gives you.
That's kind of why the whole thing ended the way it ended, because I didn't change a lot. I mean, now that we got that out there.
Well, I can tell you that the twins were born in May of 1985.
Well, they were born on the day we won the cup.
That was May 24th.
They were a year old the day that we won the cup on the 24th.
That's right.
Yeah.
So they were born the year before.
That's amazing.
1 year before you won the cup. They were born.
So I remember I got to go on whatever TSN or whatever it was and say happy birthday to Trevor and Tyler.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I had a case of beer sitting in my lap in the training. But yeah, it was. But yeah, to say that it changed a ton, really, you bring them on here and ask them.
Yeah,
like we never even saw them. That's what they'd say, because I was playing when they were young, and I was just playing. So yeah, but I'm saying is, I had that would have been when I was 23 years old or whatever. 23, 24, somewhere in that neighborhood. So, for Jamie at 34 or whatever Jamie is, you're at that stage, maybe you handle things and, it's a bigger moment for you older. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. I'm just kind of maybe we can ask someone who, Sagan obviously went through it and everything. I'm just curious if that gives
you're better off asking somebody.
Yeah. gives you some perspective, because guys talk about going home and having the family and having other things versus you go home and you might be married or have a girlfriend but you take the game with you, and maybe it takes something off of Jamie's plate this year to have that aspect.
And then the other, what about the other thing? I mean, now that baby's going to still be young this summer, so maybe you don't get the chance to train as hard, or maybe you do because you're just going. I'm going to the gym. Like 5 hours, and now
maybe you'll work even harder.
I got to go, baby. I'm getting old. I got to put 5 hours a day in.
Okay, so this is a great question in a super chat I was going to ask you at some point. So let's do that now, John. Stephen Craig with a Casey DeSmith and 99 Cup year. What's the price point in which you re-sign Jamie Benn? Jamie's contract, which was $9.5 million a year for 8 years, $76 million is now done. It will be officially done June 30th, and he'll become an unrestricted free agent on July 1st.
It's done, but it ain't gone. You know what I mean? So I mean, you mentioned $5 million. I would say that's too much. I would be more in the 3 to 4 range, but I have no clue. I really no clue. I don't think if Jamie's coming back, or if Jamie decides to leave and go to Edmonton or go to Florida, whatever it may be, if he goes to one of those teams, it isn't about the money. Yeah. Well, it's about winning that championship.
Is $3 million too much then? Because if you just look at Dallas's situation, and we'll spend a lot more time looking at off-season moves and stuff, but currently they have just under $5 million in cap space. And they have Ben, Duchesne, Dodonov, Granlund, Blackwell, and RFA Maverick Bork. That's 6 forwards. Not even to mention Cody Ceci and other things that have to be done.
I would imagine
There's no, and Nils Lundqvist needs a new contract.
I would imagine if you want Jamie Benn and Matt Duchene both back, they both signed for 1 year, $2 million.
It's got to be a really low number.
I don't think Matt Duchene's doing that this year. Not like he did the last couple of years.
Well, sorry,
we're going to talk about that
I didn't
too.
necessarily mean term. He could be a 2 year or something, but I think $2 million. I don't think that either guy could demand much more than that. Duchene's making $3 million.
But
he was a good player, but he didn't help you in the playoffs.
Do you think Matt Duchene gets more than that somewhere else?
Absolutely.
But isn't he still making
I do too.
money?
We're going to talk about Duchene in another segment because I want to play some of his audio and his situation. But yeah, Lutz, you're right. There's whether what he wants, what he can get, and how he has to weigh all that.
To answer the question, I would say Jamie Benn 1 year, $2 million.
More on Jamie Benn coming up on the DLS Stars podcast next.
It's a good time to start drinking. What's up, Stars fans? It's officially our off season. Enjoying the game should have been easy, not so much, but let's move on. What to wear, you know what to do. Throw on a favorite jersey, Rantanen jersey. He'll be back for sure. Maybe a Jamie Benn jersey. We want to see some pictures out there. Jamie wants to come back. Not sure what to serve your friends. That's even easier. Pick up some pizza and grab some Bud Light and stock up the fridge. See, just that easy, just like Bud Light, which is always brewed with 4 simple ingredients for a clean, crisp taste. Bud Light, easy to drink, obviously easy to enjoy, but remember, do it responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Thanks, Luds. Let's talk about Shady Rays. You know that moment, the one you realize that you left your favorite sunglasses at the beach or on the roof of your car or at a gas station 3 states away, or maybe it fell out of your pocket at the bench of whatever restaurant you were stopping to eat on some long road trip up to Wisconsin, for example.
My sunglasses. Thanks for reminding me.
Well, I've been there too. When I found Shady Rays, and it changed the game because you see that these sunglasses are made for real life. Seriously good looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. But here's the wild part. If you lose them or break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. So now you can actually wear your sunglasses without fear on hikes, at concerts, on the boat, wherever. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. I've actually broken sunglasses before because they were in my pocket and you sat down, not even sitting on them, just that pressure of the, your slim fitting pants and they just snap a little bit.
Huge ass.
Yeah.
And hockey legs. Thank you. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com and use the code DLLS for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Should get my neighbor, the accountant. Huge ass.
Yeah, nice. Very good, Happy Gilmore.
Some right here. Come on. Happy Gilmore 2 coming out this summer.
Yeah, I saw a preview last night during the Stanley Cup Final game. We're going to get to the Stanley Cup Finals or Final in a minute, but let's keep talking about Jamie Benn. Because Luds was talking about, wherever he goes. One of the questions that Jamie was asked about was on Saturday, what would it mean to play his entire career here in Dallas? Here's what his answer was.
What would it mean for you to be able to have your entire career here, drafted by this team? You grew up here, basically. What would that mean to you? To be able to
A lot. Like I said, this is all I know. I've came in as a young kid and, now getting a little older here. So, I love the city. I love the fans. I love this organization. I love my teammates. So hopefully we can figure something out.
You seem focused.
Before we get into that, can I just say that Jamie Benn always sniffles, right? But usually he has a reason because he's after a game. So he's out of breath or he's sweaty. This is exit interviews. He's standing there in street clothes and he's still sniffling. Still finds a way to get that in there.
Just as sort of sniffles and ums part
That's
of the
my
routine,
favorite.
right?
Love it.
Luds, how special do you think this organization is to Jamie Benn? Knowing that you're not speaking for him, just
all
from
that he
your
knows. The city is all that he knows, and all the family and friends and everybody that he has here, and he's gonna his name. My thing is he should have his jersey up there at some point. I just think Jamie's given everything that he possibly could, and unfortunately, not everybody here has probably followed Jamie his whole career. like some of the fans that may be down on him a little bit. Maybe they weren't fans. And because again, I just look at what he's, and I will use I've done this before, Darian Hatcher and Brendan Morrow. There's a pattern here of captains, and it started with Bob when Gainey was here, and it started with, this is going to be the identity of our franchise. This is how we want to play the game, and we believe this is the right way to play the game in order to get where we want to go. And you're going to have an edge, and you're going to be physical, and you're going to try to push people out of the fight, your opponents out of the fight. And they've kept that model. Where they keep it, I don't know. The game is changing, and I don't know if when Jamie leaves here, there is not going to be another Hatcher, Morrow, Jamie Benn captain. I mean, it's going to be different because they're not going to have that kind of guy. But anyway, long story about that. But I just think, look at the battles that Jamie, look at the fights he's had. And Jamie's not a heavyweight. You know, he doesn't fall into that category, but he's taken on all comers. And I do think that there is part of what happened. I said this a few weeks ago. I think part of what happened, you know, with Stone and all that kind of stuff in that series, and where that kind of put it on an edge. And I think that bothered him, that he went out and took that kind of a penalty at that time. And I don't know if that held him back a little bit. And I don't know if it is anything to, because a lot of times you have to arrive on time in order to have that battle happen, or that fight, or whatever you want. You can't be a step behind, because now you get the instigator, you know, if you're going to start things. So you have to arrive on time so that you know you're doing what you're doing against that certain player, but you're each going off the same. So if you can't arrive on time, and I don't know if that has anything to do with this, but I mean, it seems to me that's what all the talk is. And if there was going to be one guy that was going to knock on Darnell Nurse's door when the stick came down, everybody points at Jamie. Well, that's a flaw in my team makeup too. It shouldn't have to be just one player. Forget Jamie. It needs to be team, and there needs to be a few other people that can do that. And you don't have to be the toughest guy. You have to step up and make a statement. We're in this thing together. And that's regardless if it's your top centerman or your fourth centerman, you have to have that. Like, again, I know we're going to talk about coming up here about the game from last night.
Yes.
There was 102 combined hits in that game last 51-51. That's how you get to the playoffs. That's why those two teams are there right now. Yes, they all have skill, but they do it as a team, and that's how they got beat by this Edmonton team, is because there were groups of 5 everywhere on the ice.
Well, let me ask you about Father Time and just give you a couple numbers. As I mentioned, that Benisant's resurgence year, first year under Pete DeBoer, he dropped his ice time. He was averaging 16:45 the year before in 21-22, and he dropped a whole minute per game, 15:47, and he had 78 points, 33 goals. The next year, dropped another 40 seconds, and he went from 78 points to 60 points, and from 33 goals to 21. This year, he actually went up by 9 or 11 seconds in time on ice, so it's about the same. And he went from 60 points to 49 points and dropped down to 16 goals. Now, as Luds talks about the toughness, look at the playoffs. Because the last 2 years, Pete's first year, he had 3 goals, 11 points in 17 playoff games. Last year, 4 goals, 15 points in 19 playoff games, averaging 17 minutes a game. This year, 1 goal, as Sam's holding up his finger, in 18 games, 3 points. He went from +5 last year in the playoffs to -11, and he averaged only 13 minutes. And that leads me to this question, which is a super chat that we just had come in. Another one from our same guy, Stephen Craig, with another Casey Smith and a 99 Cup year. Boy, I was slow on that one. Also, Luds, can a fourth liner be a good captain? Because right now, we all remember the video of Wayne Gretzky walking into the room after the Stars had a victorious night in the playoffs, and Jamie said to the great one, "I'm a checker now." That's where I wonder does Jamie sign league minimum to be totally team friendly? Because Jim Nill has constantly said, or constantly shown, not said, that he can go out and get guys, right? Michael Raffel. You can get on a UFA. He can come and play fourth line with experience. Last year, he signed, in the summer, he goes out and gets Colin Blackwell. Year before that, trades for Sam Steele on a really cheap deal. You don't need $3 to $5 million contracts on your fourth line, which is why they traded Radek Faksa away. It wasn't that they didn't want Faksa on their team. It was they needed that cap space. Are we looking at a possibility as Father Time? Because I know we saw what Pavelski did, John, last year, and we were all worried that is that there. Are we going to see Jamie Benn in a fourth line role? Is that okay as the captain, as Stephen wants to know?
Well, again, the way if Pete DeBoer is going to keep coaching, which I guess we're assuming that. I don't know. Maybe we're not. But if he's here, do you think Pete is now going to change the way he goes about his business? And because he rolls his lines. So the minutes are going to be the minutes. Yep. When you talk about dropping a minute and a half, all he has to do is stay out there 5 seconds. Each shift he goes out there, he's right back up there. But that wouldn't be a team guy. Jamie comes off when he comes off. You know, the minutes to me don't matter. I thought what Pete did initially with Jamie when he was going to move him off the top and basically put him on a third line, he found more minutes for Jamie by putting him on the power play. And so he made up minutes by putting Jamie in certain spots in the power play, things like that. The whole minimum, I think the minimum's $850, but I don't know exactly what it is. I don't think it's $1 million, but I think it's somewhere around $850. I don't see Jim Nill doing that. I don't think he would do that. I think he would, again, I don't know what that number is, but I don't think he's going to want his captain of the last 15 years or whatever it is going to play for him. Now, Jamie may even say that. Maybe he says, listen, I'm happy. $1 million. Yeah, just give me $1 million. Yeah. Make it 1.1 and, you know, whatever. I don't know why that would make a difference, you know. But I just think that Jamie, if Jamie truly wants to be here, like I said earlier, this isn't about the money. You said the number, whatever it is, $76 million over the last whatever years there. I think Jamie's probably got a few bucks packed away. This is more about finishing his career off, having that championship. And again, it may be, you know, Brad Marchand didn't want him back, and he went to Florida chasing for that cup. You know, and Corey Perry's been doing it 4 or 5 times, and now he may be on a team that can do it. Guys want to win that ring. They don't care about the money.
Maybe you go out and you sign Jamie to a really cheap deal, and you bring Brad Marchand and say, "There's your fourth line wing pair, Ben and Marchand."
I love that.
Well, then just
Oscar
put
back in the middle.
Then bring Perry back too, and put Jamie in the middle. Put them all 3 on a line. Good luck,
and you could have a grumpy old men line.
Yeah,
there you go.
I would love it.
It is funny. I was kind of joking when I said that, but it's with Crosby signing that 8.7 every time, he could sign 1.4.
Yeah,
Jamie, and that would be kind of in that range we're talking about.
Yeah.
But it is interesting. Before I forget, you brought up Brendan Morrow. Jamie actually said, I don't know if you heard in his exit interview, he said he wanted to be Brendan Morrow. So when he first came in and he was with Brendan Morrow, I don't know if they played on the same line, but he was like, I want to be that guy. I want to be him away from the rink. I want to be him on the ice. And that I think is so important. And it's going to be interesting to see whenever Jamie does retire or leave or whatever, how they adjust to that, because he's kind of the last remaining of that. And I'm wondering if they have to bring that in.
But Sam, we're sitting here. I just talked about 51 hits in last night's game. We're sitting here going, you got to find a way to be tougher to play against. I mean, they're proving that. Yep. The best 2 teams are playing right now. And the Edmonton Oilers have changed their identity over their last appearance there. They found it out the hard way when they got all the way to Game 7 and lose. And they said, you know what? This is how they pushed us out of the fight. And this is what you do. This is how you win cups. You push the other team out of the fight. And they're like, now they're not. Now they're just pushing as of last night.
Boy, and we're going to talk about this, but as of losing twice in a row to Edmonton, last year I think Dallas went into that series thinking they were the better team. This year I think they went out of the series thinking we weren't the better team.
Yeah.
And they may have to change their identity to try to get past them, just like you talked about Gretzky seeing the Islanders in the 80s when they lost to that cup final and went, oh, they're all beaten up. They're not celebrating. They're nursing their wounds, but they just paid the price to win. Before we get to our break, I want you to hear what Sam was talking about Tyler Seguin earlier. I clipped something from Seguin's media comments about Jamie Benn. You have to hear what he says.
The whole time? Hairstyles, I mean, everything, right? I mean, we've been through so much. I don't know if we were immature back in the day, but we're definitely a lot more mature these days. So, yeah, I don't know what his plan is. He's a secretive guy in that way. Maybe talk to him over the next few days, but there's not a guy that wants to win more, especially here, than him. We love having him as our captain. I think he enjoys it too, so hopefully that sorts itself out.
Okay, one more for you. Here's Matt Duchene on Jamie Benn. I gave John a surprise.
You want to talk about kind of immortal type statue out front of the rink type person and player and leader? That's Jamie Benn. That's probably the best way I could put it. I got to know him even better this year. We spent a lot of time together, had so many good times, and I hope those good times keep going for both of us together. And I think it'd be a crime, if he's not a Dallas Star for life. And I'd be shocked if it went. I don't know, we haven't talked about it, so that's not any insider anything there. But so don't read into that. But we, he bleeds, he bleeds green, and he's going to go down as one of the greatest Dallas Stars to ever play, for a long, long time. And, hopefully he's able to continue his career, and he's still a great player, and he brings so much to the table for us, more than people would know, more than I knew before I got here. When I got here, I saw, you see it from a different lens, and I've been just extremely impressed and blown away by what he brings.
There's two things in that, what Matt said. One is about more than I knew before I got here. And what that means is he knows Jamie as the player on the ice. He didn't know Jamie in the room. Mm-hmm. He didn't know him away from the rink. He didn't know what happens behind the scenes. So that, to me, is a testament who Jamie is as a leader and as a captain. The second thing is, when he brought up the statue, I immediately go to the statue. That guy that has a statue out there had a C on his chest, and it was taken off his chest, which I wasn't there, but I'm just saying, I'm like, wait a second. But the point is, it should have never been on his chest, because you tried to change the identity. No, that's not what happened. I'll tell you, that's not what happened. It was because the general manager has already admitted and said it was a mistake. I shouldn't have given it to Mike. I should have never taken away from Mike, but it was because he was the best player.
Yep.
That's not how you do this. And so there's the identity that they didn't like, and they took it away from him. So that's why I talk about the identity. Who's going to lead your guy? Who's going to be that guy to lead you into that battle? We'll see how that plays out, but it wasn't going to work. Were their feelings with him leading the charge that way? And the other thing about Mo is Mo just wants to play. He just wants to go out and do his thing. He doesn't need to.
And honestly, I think Miro's the same way.
Yeah,
I do too.
Which is why you don't need to give Miro a C, because he just wants to go out and play.
Yeah. And that, I mean, again, you're not going to bring in a brand new player that's going to wear the C. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be somebody there that's going to have it whenever Jamie's done. And maybe it's somebody that grows into it. I don't know. But okay, John gave me that one.
All right,
shut up.
Look, we'll have lots of time to continue the conversation about Jamie Benn, but up next, we do have to talk about the Stanley Cup Final. We'll get into that here on the DLS Stars Podcast.
Finances can be messy and confusing. Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop earning and start growing. But Monarch Money is more than just an average budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center for your accounts, investments, and goals. In today's world, that is so important. There are way too many things going on to be tracking all of your different accounts. Monarch Money makes it easy and just puts everything right there in one place on the dashboard for you. Don't just manage your money, start building wealth. Start managing your finances to build the life that you actually want. Without a clear financial picture, financial dreams can feel out of reach, but Monarch makes managing money simple, even for those busy lives we were just talking about before. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code DLLS at monarchmoney.com. That's code DLLS at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. 50% off your first year, monarchmoney.com with the code DLLS. Do it now. You will thank me later.
Well done, Sam. Let's talk about Empire today. Just like your favorite team needs a home ice advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. We've all been to those big box stores. You wander endless aisles, and somehow you're hauling all these materials home. You're looking for an installer, coordinating everything yourself. Those big box stores might have a flooring department, but the person helping you with flooring may have been doing sinks yesterday, could be stocking light bulbs tomorrow. By the way, nothing wrong with stocking light bulbs. Why is Empire Today your best bet for a new floor? Well, because they live and breathe flooring, and they will be with you every step of the way, and it's a whole different ball game. They bring everything, including like their showroom, in your home. Check out the right colors, how it looks, the measurements, everything, all your questions asked. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. DLLS listeners can receive a $350 discount when using the promo code DLLS. That's right, you heard it. $350 discount with code DLLS. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/DLLS for full details. All right, before we talk about the Stanley Cup Final, it's time for the Wendy's Frosties Take of the week. Frosty Takes brought to you by Wendy's. Wendy's is putting a twist on a classic with an all-new Frosty flavors. Find your new favorite flavor and clock in for sweet treat time. Anytime, including midnight or later, a refresh on a classic, got to be Wendy's. At participating U.S. Wendy's, hours may vary by location. We played this yesterday. I got the Carolina pick horribly wrong in the conference final, but it was such a funny clip, including Luds basically waffling. We're going to play it again because I went with Hurricanes in 7. They lost in 5. Here's our Frosties Take of the week.
I'm going to go Florida in 6 in this one.
Okay. Luds. Florida versus Carolina in the conference final. Who are you going with?
I have no idea. I want to say Carolina, but I think I should say Florida. So I'm going to say.
Would you like to pass? Would you like to come back
Luds
to?
would like to pick both.
Honestly, I don't know.
Would you like to pick both in
Florida,
5 or 7
Florida
games?
to me is the better, more complete team. The way Roddy runs that team, I don't know if they're going to be able to compete. And you know what, Sean? Freddie Andersen is not going to be able to keep this up. So I'm going Florida.
How many games?
I don't care. What's the difference? I think picking games is stupid. In 7.
Okay.
No, it's in 6.
In 6.
It's
Or
stupid.
7.
It's stupid, but he's going to
6
change.
or 7. All right. So
It might be Carolina, though.
So just to finish that up for you, it's either Carolina or Florida in 5, 6, or 7 games.
Boy, Luds, as long as there is a
sweep incoming.
He sweeps, he's wrong.
I'll mark this clip, Luds.
All right, so I've got Luds down as Florida in 6 or 7. It might be Carolina, though. Okay, perfect. Sam.
I have Logan Stankoven scoring 4 goals in the series and Florida winning in 5 games.
Florida. I just started writing.
And Stank's going to score 4 goals in 5 games.
Yep.
Okay.
Matthew Tkachuk
And now
is
you
going
think
to
what I
crush
said was
Logan
stupid.
Stankoven.
I
The
actually,
Panthers take craps bigger than Logan Stankoven.
I actually believe that Luds is on the right track because I am feeling, after what I just watched, that picking against Florida is a fool's errand. But I wrote Carolina in 7. I picked the Hurricanes to win the East at the beginning of the season, and so I'm going to stick with that. I've got Carolina in 7.
They won't score.
Maybe not. We'll find out. There it is.
What did I end up?
I don't
Where
know.
did I pick?
Florida in 5, 6, or 7.
So it was Florida.
You
Or
got it
maybe
right.
Carolina.
Or maybe Carolina.
Or maybe Carolina.
But in our Wendy's
You added
Frosty
that.
What was
Take
the
of the
last
week,
thing I said?
Said it might be Carolina.
yeah,
So then I technically got it wrong.
you picked both. You basically picked
Well, then
everything.
I got
and
it
Sam
right.
said, what was it? Anything but a sweep.
Well, then I
Anything but a
obviously got it
sweep.
right.
So Lud's
you were
got it
right.
right. I got it horribly wrong. And that leads us into talking about game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Last night in Edmonton, the scenes were incredible. We're kind of used to them now, but I don't know if it was because we weren't watching and covering the game like we normally do, but I felt like it was even louder in Edmonton last night than it was against Dallas in the conference final. Did you guys get that impression too?
I think yes, and they might have also given into a little bit with the TV coverage and allowing that noise to come through because it was
again, difference in networks.
maybe
Because TNT has the U.S. broadcast for the final this year.
yeah. Was TNT the one that was muting?
I thought it was ESPN.
I don't remember, but it was loud and it was cool to see I love the way they do the watch party and how close it is. The fact that it's right across
That mosh
in the
pit
ice
out there.
district. His Stanley Cup ladies right there in the front the whole time. I love it. I thought it was an awesome scene. It was cool. Being there for the one game I actually made it to, it was a very cool experience.
You should have been too. Luds, what do you think of that first goal for Bennett, the one that they reviewed, the challenge for goalie interference, and ultimately upheld?
First, I'm going to tell you what I thought of last night.
Yeah.
Just before the game started. Immediately, it came to my mind. Actually, it was prior. It was sometime during the national anthem. I kept thinking about the intro to the Stanley Cup, and I thought, here's what I do if I'm a general manager here or coach, is before all the guys leave town, I bring them in for one last meeting. And I play that 4-minute intro about the Stanley Cup. Who was that guy that read it, by the way?
Oh,
Did you
the
guys watch
actor from the TNT clip. John,
John, do you know who that
what's
actor
his
is?
name?
No?
I didn't see the clip.
I'll
I don't
let
remember
you
who it
know
was.
because I
But
recognize
it
him.
was just over 4 minutes, and it was incredible. And the reason I would bring them in, I want them leaving because it talks about the history and what it means to get your name on that cup. And to my knowledge, I think there's only 2 guys here that have their name on the cup. I think it's Rantanen and Tyler. I don't think there's a third, but regardless, I would leave them. I would let them go home or wherever they're going for the summer, making sure that they heard that, and then I would actually send it to them again in August or make them watch it again. I thought it was incredible.
Yeah, watch it
So-
when they come back for camp or something, right?
Like I just thought like that's how important it is. And it gets for young guys, it's important to the Jamie Benns and the Tyler Sagans who have one. It's important to the older guys, but it should be important to all those guys. But again, if you watch that thing and you actually listen to every word that it says and get into it, it's pretty incredible. I thought it was one of the best openings I've seen. So what did I think about the Bennett? I just thought he is sneaky smart.
Love.
He is a intelligent, grinding, skillful, faster than you think kind of player that is going to hit the jackpot. And I don't mean by money. He's going to hit the jackpot for whatever team has the ability to bring Bennett in because he plays a gritty game. He's not that big guy. He's fast. He's got hands. He's got a couple goals. But the way that he he kind of got caught on the bench by a camera because as soon as the announcement came down that it was a goal, they went right to Bennett sitting on the bench, and he leans over to somebody else who's ever sitting next to him, and he kind of giggles, and he's telling him what he did, but again, it not his fault, but the little sly, and if you watch that, because I watched it back about 7 times, I mean when he clicks his skates with I think it's Kulak,
Yep.
Like there's nothing there, but he realizes that it had nothing to do with the goal, had nothing to do with anything. This is my chance. Because we talk about, we used to, I don't know what they talk about now. You find ways to fall on top of goaltenders.
Mm-hmm.
You get any little nudge and you grab somebody by the back of the jersey. If Darnell Nurse backs into me and I'm one of them guys in front, which I'd never be in front of that net, obviously, but I would grab him by the back of the jersey and I would pull him on top of me and I'd fall on top of that goaltender. And he basically did something similar to that. And he knew he was going to get away with it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it was a little hairy there for a second, but regardless, it wasn't at the point of the game where if he didn't get away with it, that big deal. But it was more about we're going to be in and on top of you all night long. Now, it didn't pay off for him in the long run, but I thought it was the right call. I don't know. I was kind of curious how quick that Knoblauch came with the decision to challenge it. I thought he would have had more time to look at that video.
I'm wondering if they didn't see Kulak's.
On the first couple of camera angles, it looked like it was clearly goalie interference.
100%.
Then there was one that showed the little contact with Kulak, and that changed it.
And I don't know. Didn't see it.
I agree with you. I wonder if what they saw and went, "Oh, that's a no-brainer interference call."
Because it's not.
There's not a lot there.
And if you look at the reviews, I think there's been 3 other ones that have been challenged, and they've all been upheld because they've been somewhat close. And that if you're, I don't know, if you're an NHL video coach and you see and you're like, that's somewhere on the border, you don't usually make that call because they score again. So to me, I think they didn't see that one because same with you. I saw the first 2 and I was like, oh, he just falls right into him.
Quick.
Yeah,
It was quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The challenge is so quick.
they were on it to call, and I wonder if you're right. They never really
Maybe
saw
they
it.
just didn't see it. They're like,
But they
that's
killed it
definitely
off,
in it.
right? They didn't give up. I don't think
No, they scored.
Oh no, Marchand scored on the power
They
play.
come out and go.
So, but I guess what I should be saying is that they were down 3-1 and they came back and tied it.
Yep.
And then won it in overtime. It feels like, Luds, you said this before. Edmonton feels different than they did last year. I wonder how much the pressure of a Canadian team not winning since 1993 weighs on every player that plays for a Canadian team making it to the championship round.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. I think the pressure is on.
Did you?
The pressure? It's not pressure. It's McDavid. It's Draisaitl, and it's the rest of that group that wants to win it for Draisaitl. But then it's also the identity that they have, and the way that they go about their business out. Totally different. Like it's a hard team to play against. And Florida's a hard team to play against.
They are.
They're hard. Those are two teams that are hard to play against, but Edmonton is not a perimeter team anymore. Florida is not a perimeter team. Florida came into this round leading all of the teams that have come in here with slot goals. In other words, they're getting to the front of the net. Slot chances and slot goals scored off of slot chances. And when you look at the team, one of the teams that they played was Carolina. Carolina never really got to the interior. They're a team that kind of does things from the outside. These guys get the puck into the slot, but they have to fight their way into the slot. So it's a good battle with these two teams going on. They play similar in front of their goaltenders. Both goaltenders are obviously playing well at the right time of the year. And those little things like what Bennett did, again, Edmonton reciprocates. They've got the guys, and look at where Corey Perry was, and they got the right guys that kind of do that, and they make it uncomfortable for Bobrovsky.
By the way, I answer your question. I found it. The actor that voiced the TNT 4-minute intro, his name is Taylor Kitsch. He's actually from Canada, and he played.
He was John Riggins in Friday Night Lights.
He was Friday Night Lights TV series.
I did see the video.
His career has taken a rough trajectory since then.
Yes.
He was also in the 2013 movie Lone Survivor. You might have seen that.
Such a good movie.
And
That one I know.
He's more recently, he was in American Primeval, that miniseries that was apparently, I haven't seen it. It's Peter Berg, really violent about.
Peter Berg, I think, directed Lone Survivor, if I'm not
Did
mistaken.
he?
Well, he famously was supposed to be Gambit in the Fox X-Men movies, and it never really happened. And then when they made when Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman ran it back last year, they instead got Channing Tatum to play Gambit instead of Taylor Kitsch, because Channing Tatum had been attached to the role.
And then
Taylor Kitsch literally
pushed out
played
of it,
him
right?
on screen in a movie, but they chose the other guy instead.
There was a story behind that too.
Yes,
But
there
anyway,
was.
he actually played in the BCHL, junior hockey, back in the day.
Well, you could tell. That's why I was curious. I didn't know where he played,
Yeah.
but it seemed like he had been a player, and he was a player. It felt like he had gone through the battle, the way that he, went through that whole clip. I thought it was awesome.
So it was great. It was really entertaining. Get you all fired up, ready to want to go. Speaking of which, we're going to talk about the coaching carousel, because John's team is no longer dealing with a vacancy. We'll talk about that next here on the DLLS Stars Podcast. But first, let's talk about being a diehard. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Let's start with the DLLS diehard mock draft that Charlie O'Connor from our PHLY affiliate posted a couple of days ago. It's live there now. We are getting ready to cover all rounds of the draft. We will have a live draft show for round 1 for 3+ hours, even though the Stars don't have a first-round draft pick.
Heyo.
And then we will do a 1-hour recap show on
Not
Saturday.
yet. They may.
They
never
might.
know.
That's right. They could always change, as we speculated
Please
yesterday.
do.
And then we'll do a recap of rounds 2 through 6 on our Saturday show that week, which is the 27th and 28th of June. End of the month, before we all disperse and then start doing some remote shows for a little while. Because who doesn't want to escape the heat of Texas in the middle of June, July, right? Well, check out the mock draft from Charlie. He does a whole first round breakdown. It's very worth your time. We also have a trip coming up. The DLS Cowboys show will be headed to Vegas in November, as we just found out news about Aaron Rodgers officially signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Cowboys will be playing at the Raiders. Nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers at all, but it's a Monday night game. Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino. The travel, you don't have to be flying from DFW. You can be from anywhere and meet up with everybody. There's a whole itinerary. Should be a lot of fun. And we'd like to encourage you to sign up for the DLLS newsletter. It's free. All you have to do is go to the All DLS website, scroll to the bottom, type in your email address. Sam, I did that this morning because I hadn't done it. I put in my DLS email, and
Excellent.
I should be getting it probably tomorrow to get the newsletter. It's
Bobby wrote it today.
absolutely free. Gets you all sorts of stuff. Sign up. Use that QR code. Be a diehard. You get your first year. You get a free shirt for your first year. We're talking about the Otter shirt, Finnish Mafia, all the different fun ones that are available here on DLLS. Okay. 2 hires. This segment originally was going to be 1 hire, and we're down to 1 vacancy. And then the Boston Bruins made a hire. And there was a rumor floating around that Boston was waiting to see what was going to happen with Dallas and Pete DeBoer. I don't know how much truth there was into this rumor, but there were suggestions or speculation that maybe the Bruins were waiting to see if DeBoer was let go, and then they might pounce on him. But they hired Marco Sturm. Yesterday, Dan Muse, a assistant coach with the New York Rangers, was hired by the Pittsburgh Penguins, and that filled all the vacancies. Can you believe it? There are 8 coaches that have been hired in the NHL since the regular season ended. 8. Started with Mike Sullivan going to the New York Rangers on May 2nd. 6 days later, Joel Quenneville was hired by the Anaheim Ducks. 6 days later, Rick Tocchet goes to the Philadelphia Flyers. On that same day, Adam Foote was hired as the head coach of the Vancouver Canucks. Then a week later, Jeff Blashill with the Chicago Blackhawks. And then a week later, May 29th, Lane Lambert becomes the head coach of the Seattle Kraken.
They're spacing them all out.
June 4th, Dan Muse. And then today, Marco Sturm. Thoughts about all that coaching carousel going on in the NHL during the offseason, knowing that Jim Montgomery is now the 10th coach away from being the most recent hire. Think about that. There have been 9 coaching changes since Monty changed midseason and went to St. Louis.
So
ridiculous.
Basically, 4 of those guys will be unemployed in 3.5 years from now.
Or less.
Well, I was giving them a benefit of the doubt.
Very...
It's 2.3 is the average lifespan right now. 2.3 years is the average coach's lifespan. So,
do you know that there are only 4 head coaches that were in their jobs when we had that big summer where Bruce Cassidy went to Vegas, DeBoer came to Dallas, Paul Maurice went to Florida? There's only 4. And it would be 5, but Andre Tourigny technically reset because his whole franchise moved to Utah. But he's still Arizona Coyotes,
Cooper,
Utah.
Brindamore.
John Cooper, Jared Bednar, Rod Brindamore, and the 4th longest tenured coach right now in the NHL is Martin St. Louis.
It's crazy.
It's insane.
He's done a great job in Montreal, though. I
Yes.
think they love him there. So, yeah, I mean, again, the inmates are running the asylum. I mean, for sure. I mean, you're not getting rid of your players. You know, that's not going to happen. So they kind of have their way.
What do you think, Luds? Sullivan, Quenneville, Tocchet, Foote, Blashill, Lambert, Muse, and Sturm. You have any thoughts on any of those guys?
Well, the ones that you start with, I mean, they're more veteran kind of guys. It's always interesting. Like, even the one that happened, what was it, yesterday or today, the Muse one.
Yep.
Like, I was immediately like, who?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fast riser. He's only 42.
I guess I was curious that there wasn't. I was curious that, or why. I'm surprised that Carl didn't get hired. You know, Carl out of Denver, a couple national championships, blah blah blah. The new guy, new kid on the block.
I think he chose to stay.
He chose
hot
to
commodity.
stay. But the team I believe that was after him the most was Chicago.
Yes.
I'm not sure he wanted to step through that door just yet.
Yeah.
There.
He
And because
waited
the
out.
reason he gave for basically not leaving is that, and it could be very true, I don't know. He felt like he was leaving some players that had committed their hanging, that they said they may not come because he's not there. That's a good, if that's not true.
Wouldn't that be every year though, as a college coach?
Exactly. And it's
easier now with the portal, players can leave.
He's making good money.
He's making good money. His young kids are, it's stable, right? He's never going to get fired, but from Denver, as long as something horrible doesn't happen.
None of those coaches. I mean,
Right.
I mean, even when a guy played Brad Berry at North Dakota, I mean, they're there for anywhere between 5 and 10 years.
That's
so you talk
stability.
about job security.
Yes.
And unlike here in the NHL, where
The only security is once you get into the NHL coaching fraternity, the retread recycling coaches happens.
But do you get in there now being a young guy yet and you don't do a good job?
Well,
I mean,
and
you
in a
get a second
situation
chance.
where in Chicago they're not very good, it's not going to be like suddenly Chicago's going to be competing for
That's
a playoff
more of
spot.
a pass, though, because I believe
For how
that,
long?
Well, but I think that we've got things to change here. We got an image we're working on changing, and we've got players that we need to change. And so I think anybody that would be going into a situation like that, I'm not signing a 3-year deal. I'm saying, well, if you want me here, I want to be here, but I want to be here for the long haul. I want to get us out of the projection that is out there, number one, and I want our team and I want to develop players, but I want to be here not after we get them to 3-4 years down the road where they're starting to become good players, and then I'm going to get booted.
Yeah.
Even worse than that now. You got guys coming in like what?
Greg Cronin made it 2 years?
Yeah, or some guy.
It was 2 seasons.
Yeah, they improved by 24 points over the last year, and
they still
you come in on a team that is just awful and is expected to be awful, and then you get fired, and it's like, what was I supposed to do here?
That's what I mean.
Like,
okay, so
the
in
Muse
that,
one. Oh, go ahead.
No. I want you to respond to this. In that vein, we've been talking a lot about Pete DeBoer. So I made a couple audio clips from Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin talking about their head coach during end of season media availability. And Sam, specifically, because you deal with Pete even more than we do, what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead with the Jamie Benn, if you would, please.
Yeah, it's good. Pete's been a great coach, for this team, and I got a great relationship with him. I think, a head coach captain relationship can sometimes be a little different than other players because there's a lot of communication going on, trying to get feels for the room and the guys. And, we've had a great relationship and, probably continue that going forward here.
So that was being asked how the relationship between Jamie as the captain, and I thought it was interesting that he talked about how that's a unique relationship, captain and coach.
Yeah, especially with Jamie, because like he's been here. He's not just the captain of like a few years.
He's been through a few coaches now, hasn't he?
He's been through coaches. He's their stability right now. He's their guy more so than the coach that comes in. So if you want to win over this room, you have to win over Jamie Benn. And I still have no reason to believe, as you said, there's still a difference between what I get to see and what's really behind the scenes. But from what I've gathered from the 3 years that he's been here, I have not seen anyone other than, maybe like someone who's like a Brendan Smith or someone that's been in the odd man out situation. I haven't seen anyone that hasn't said that and hasn't felt that Pete is good in the room. They have good assistants that allow them to kind of, he's the head guy, but he allows other assistants to be more the communicators. Jeff Reese is kind of the players coach guy to be there and be more friendly with them. I think it's a good balance. And I think people say, did Pete lose the room? That's the big question, whether or not they fire him. I would say no.
Well, here's Tyler Seguin on the same thing.
What did you expect to come out of Jamie's mouth?
Nothing.
There wasn't going to be nothing.
Well,
we just got done talking about a guy that wants to get a contract next year, wants to stay here. Did you think there was anything negative? I haven't heard Tyler, but I guarantee there's no negativity. He's got 1 year left.
There's a way to be politically careful without sewering somebody. But listen to Tyler.
Very high. Had multiple coaches in my career. Not to put them down, but he's still my number one. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league, and resume speaks for itself. And where he got this group over the last few years, probably quicker than we all thought. Really, I mean, maybe we thought that this was supposed to be the first conference finals. I mean, it doesn't really click as quick as it does with a coaching staff, and I think that's sometimes forgotten about with our coaches and with Pete. And there's a great system there in place. There's a lot of belief. There's a lot of care and love for each other, and that all happened pretty quickly. So, love Pete.
See, that's my point, Luds. He could simply say, I had a good relationship with Pete DeBoer, but to say he's my number one, not to put any other coaches down. He's played with a bunch now, Tyler has. To say that he respects him that much, maybe he's just playing the game, but I don't know if I think that's the case.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
The only thing I do
he's your head coach. What do you think what's the most important thing you can take away from a player?
Ice time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy's the coach next year. Why would I say anything negative?
Yeah. Right, but you also don't have to go over the top with comma. You could just say, I've got a great relationship. To take the time to say he's the number one I've ever worked with.
Yeah. The one thing I thought was really interesting with what Tyler said is that what fans and sometimes we don't even realize and remember is this team was immediately successful. 3 straight Western Conference Finals right away. That does not happen. And Pete, as much as he's failed to win the championship, he's done that everywhere he's gone, and that is not easy to do.
We have a minute left, so just really quickly, I just wanted to mention that if you haven't seen it yet, go online and find it. Sean Monahan was awarded the Bill Masterton Trophy, and Meredith Gaudreau, the widow of the late Johnny Gaudreau, was the one that surprised him at his door, and I thought it was really heartwarming. It was cool that Meredith and Sean's wife, Sean Monahan's wife, kind of teamed up to surprise him and put that together. Really cool way for him to find out that
Pranked
award.
him.
Yeah, pranked him on it.
Said that Johnny liked the prank.
We got a late super chat. I love Misty 1985 with a Haskin and 99 cup here. Did you see the video I posted in the damn Discord of the interview with your great grandfather from 1931, Owen? I put it in the Rangers chat. No, I'll have to check it out. Yeah. I'll go look. So, guys.
Owen's not a frequenter in the Rangers chat.
Show tomorrow to wrap up our first full week since the season ended for the Stars. 2 o'clock.
Go to the
Luds,
beach.
Sam, and John, I'm Owen. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday.
We all silly like the mayor.